Gentlemen, I want to kind of segue into this report that comes the way of InsiderGaming.com. It was written today by Tom Henderson, and the headline states PlayStation 5 price hike could be next due to tariffs, Sony warns. Now, again, in the same investor call, the CFO had basically said that they are going to unfortunately have to make some big moves on to how and where they make the PlayStation 5. Currently, there are plans to start building the PS5 here in the States that would save them on the tariffs. But some of the monies that they are going to lose are incredible. So I'm going to read verbatim from the article, and then I'll hand the mic over to you. Tom Henderson goes on to say, the news came today from Sony CFO Lin Tao, who said that the company's current needs to find approximately 100 billion yen, which is equivalent to $512 million to make up for the impact of the current tariffs. That means that they have this potential of losing $512 million. And this is what she had to say, and I quote, in terms of the tariffs, where we are not just simply calculating the simple tariffs and prices to come up with the 100 billion yen, but are thinking about the current available information and looking at the market trend, we may pass the price to customers and also shipment allocation. So we are taking different measures in managing to come up with that missing 100 billion yen. Again, I'm going to read verbatim. CEO Hiroki Totoki weighed in on the tariffs and said this: these hardwares can, of course, be produced locally. I think that would be an efficient strategy, but the PlayStation 5 is being manufactured in many areas, its components especially. So whether it's going to be manufactured in the U.S. or not, it needs to be considered going forward in such a critical situation. Now, again, Dirt, we all kind of expected that PlayStation was going to raise their prices. Like it just seemed like it's just par for the course. Nintendo shockingly did it first, right? With their $450 Switch. Their games are $80. Their peripherals all went up. Some went up $5, some went up $10. Even some of the most mundane peripherals, like a carry case, is near $100, which is freaking ridiculous. And here we are, Dirk Riggedy, where Sony finds themselves in a predicament where the PlayStation 5 has stayed steady at its price. It's only a matter of time before the price goes up for the console, the price goes up for the peripherals, and maybe, and wouldn't be surprised by this, they raise their games to $80. Look at your thoughts on the second half of what the CFO had to say.
Well, Boom, I will tell you this. I say this all the time. This is such a weird generation. Oh my God, man. This is such a weird generation. You know, we're used to consoles going down in price. We're used to the slim model going down in price, and we're in a generation where everything is just crazy. Those days of the big three taking losses on their consoles, those days are gone. They're not doing that anymore. Microsoft, PlayStation, or Nintendo, they're not losing money on every console sold like they used to in the past, because one, the budgets of these games are ridiculous, and they're just done with that. As far as PlayStation doing it, I don't think no one is surprised. When the Xbox did it, I saw some people talking trash. I mean, I would go back a few weeks where PlayStation raised prices in everywhere but the States.
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah.
Yep.
Then I was talking to some of the Xbox homies, and they were like, "Oh man, what's going on?" I said, "Listen, y'all, calm down. We can't talk trash yet, because Xbox might be doing the same thing." And sure enough, the following week, Xbox is doing it. So, boom. At the end of the day, this is no surprise. This is to be expected at this point. Them saying it is like, okay, yeah, no stuff, you know, like we know what's going to happen. So this generation is weird. Everything is going on with the tariffs. I expect PlayStation to do it. And honestly, I understand why they're doing it. I'm not defending it, of course. Just like when Xbox did it, I'm not defending that. But you kind of understand why they're not taking the loss on this, man. I saw people say, like when Xbox did, oh, man, you're a $1 trillion company. They want to remain a $1 trillion company. They want to take it up another notch. They're not going to take the losses on this, man. So it's unfortunate, but it is what it is.
I would imagine in the next day or two. That's why they made mention of it, that they're going to get a price hike. But does it end with consoles? Do you think they go full round robin and raise prices on everything?
It's so look, the big thing is revenue per user, right? They already said it. They want to get more average revenue per user, ARPU.
Yep.
And since they want to do that, I guess it depends on how they get there. And it's likely they're going to take both ways. If you know what, okay, it's not what you're pointing out. Like a lot of their games are kind of single player, just their narratives, and they're done. If you're not going to have a consistent content or microtransaction thing or game, a battle pass or something, how do you continue to get revenue from that same user? Well, there's charge more for games. That's one option. Mm-hmm. There's charge for upgrades or remasters, which they do a lot of, right? So that's a potential path. Other than that, you have to have games that you could actually, create content for and have it be live. And that, look, they've just not had a lot of luck with that. They have Helldivers, they have Destiny. Let's see how that works with Destiny, by the way. I don't know if everybody from Destiny World is coming back. We will see. But that is kind of what they have to do. And so it's possible that they will. And, you take a look at their budgets for their games. They're extraordinarily large. Granted, not GTA 6 large, but they're very large. And you say, okay, well, if they could pull it off, would they? Now you have to do a calculus of saying, because they don't have Game Pass. This is the problem they have, right? They don't have the offset. If Xbox charges you $80 for Call of Duty, look, a lot of people are going to buy it anyways because they're Call of Duty players. They're just going to buy it. But a lot of people on Xbox and PC can just get the freaking Game Pass subscription and play their game. They don't have to pay.
Get the Vault Edition for $30.
Right. Yep. So it's a different world. You don't have to pay that unless you are on the PlayStation side. You just have to pay it. They don't do their games in their service, right? They sometimes do go in and then get pulled out, but that's after launch. It's not at launch. So you're kind of stuck at this, like, hey, if you want to buy this for $80, you have to pay the $80. And there are gamers who are going to say, that's too much, right? It just depends on the game. If it's something that is actually something you're looking forward to, then maybe you do that. But as you pointed out, Spider-Man 2 didn't sell as well as Spider-Man 1, right? And that's Spider-Man.
But that's a lot of their games. God of War Ragnarok didn't sell as good as the first one. Horizon didn't sell as good as the first one.
So, and that's because of the 70 bump. And look, all those, like outside of Spider-Man 2, all those games are also cross-gen, right? So you could buy them for $60.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
good point.
What do you do in that world? Like, eventually they have to get to a point of realizing like what that cutoff is. We know that sales volume has gone down because of the $70 bump. Forget about the $80 bump. We already know that. What happens when you go to 80? And again, you might say, hey, it's terrible for Xbox to do it. And you're right. It is terrible, but they have Game Pass. They have a foil to that. Just go get Game Pass. You're done.
Yeah.
You don't have to worry about that. But Game Pass may go up in price. That's a possibility. For now, however, a lot of us are locked in for years. We don't have a price increase. We're good. We have it. So we just get the games in our service and we're good, right? Unless they change that, which hopefully won't happen, right? So that's kind of the way it is on this side of it. If you go to the other side, they're going to have to make that calculus. If we do this, how many people will not buy the game because it's $80, right? They also don't have the same price competition that the others have, a la the digital store being locked to just PlayStation versus the other platforms where you can buy digital codes, right, from other stores. That's going to be another factor that goes into this, right? And it's why they're being sued in the EU because of this practice, right? So these are just headaches they have to run into. You don't get a lot of choices. So yes, physical copies do exist, but a lot of their consoles aren't physical discs anymore. And a lot of people buy digital. They don't buy physical. So you're stuck with that price. What do you do there? And this is going to be a problem for them going forward. It's just a major headache they have to kind of contend with. Yes, I think it sucks all across the board. Why is Mario Kart World $80? I have no idea. It's bullshit, but it is what it is. It's $80, and it started this whole pattern. But is it, for me, from an Xbox perspective, yeah, I don't like them going up to $80. I'm not going to excuse that, but I have Game Pass. It doesn't affect me because I have Game Pass. It's there. I just download the game. I'm done. PC or console, I just download the game. So for me, I've been foiled from that. I don't have to worry about it as much. But for a PlayStation game, the next time I go and try to buy one, well, it'll be on PC. So thank God for me, it's on Steam or it's on Epic, and I can buy it on a freaking store outside of Steam and get it at a discount, right? That's something I get that luxury of. If you're on PlayStation, however, you don't. So I don't know what's going to happen. Are they going to do the $80 thing? Possibly. But if they do, they cannibalize their own sales. They know that. They're going to have to weigh that out and say, what's the value to how many lost in sales? And is that going to be enough for them to justify it? It is a tough position to be in, right? And again, I don't know what Microsoft's going to price at $80. They said it's going to start. My guess is Call of Duty is the game. They've got a captured audience. It's just the way it is. Those people are going to buy it anyway. Mm-hmm. They can complain about it, but they're going to buy it anyway. So is it going to go down? Maybe it goes down 5%. Okay. They make most of their money on microtransactions anyway. So I'm like, okay, fine. Yeah, whatever. So I don't know that Call of Duty is going to kill them by going to $80. But the next time you have a Returnal and it's, oh, that was $70, now it's $80. Good luck. That thing didn't sell at $70, right? Ratchet and Clank. You think? Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Right? No, it's just not going to happen. Like, they're going to have to play that out and say, okay, which games are going to be 50, which games are going to be 60, 70. Then if you want to do 80, it'd have to be an incredible game. And I don't know which one they have that seems to warrant it. I didn't think Mario Kart World warrants it, but I'll give them this. It's a very big seller. Mario Kart 8, whatever it was, sold what's like 50 million or something.
Yeah,
40,
something like that. Yeah.
Ridiculous numbers.
Outrageous.
Like, okay, I get it. They're like, dude, we got a captured audience. They're gonna pay anyway. Let them pay extra time. Okay, fine, fair enough. It sucks. It's gonna work. But like, it sucks. In Call of Duty, it's gonna work. But what do they have at that level? What do they have at that level? I don't know that they have anything. So if they go to $80 for, say, Intergalactic, it's already got this negative perception. You think that's going to help the game? I don't see it helping the game. That's probably a detriment to the game, very likely, right? If you say Ghost of Yotai, well, thankfully it's already set at 70, right? That's already set.
Yes, it's already been set for $70. Yeah.
So let's just assume that's the way it is. If Wolverine comes out and is $80, which they probably need to do that because they need to recover all the freaking license costs. Is it going to sell? I don't know. This is a very weird situation, right? So, like, Spider-Man 2 didn't. Is Wolverine a bigger property than Spider-Man 2? Well, not really. And what we've seen so far has not been very good. I hope that changes. I hope that was just like some alpha stuff that they were working through and they need to really change the game. But what we saw so far sucked. So I'm hoping the game changes dramatically and it's much, much better when it actually comes to launch. We haven't seen it, to be fair to them, right? So we haven't seen the actual official stuff. I don't know, right? If that game comes out at $80, yikes, that could be a problem for them. So I don't know if it's a good calculus on their part to do so. It's on them to make that choice, though, right? And they will have to figure out if their customers are willing to do it. They could say we launch at 80 and then like 2 months later it's down to 60. Okay, cool. That'd be a way to say fine. At least if people who want to get the discount, they'll get it a little later. Maybe that'll increase sales. Problem though is there are games that come out all the time and the buzz might go away. And if the buzz goes away, you might not get those sales later down the road, right? That you would have gotten at the initial time when it launches and all that buzz is there, right? These are things they're going to have to weigh out, right? I don't know what's going to end up happening, but I find it difficult to think that would be a good idea for them. I wouldn't put it past them though. I think they will probably do it, but I think it's a bad idea. I don't think it'll work for their games. I just think it's going to decrease their sales even more, and they're going to have to keep up. Because, like, the only thing they're saying now is basically they're selling games and third-party games to make money. It ain't console sales.
They said that,
So if that's the way it is, you have to be very careful to not F people over and say, oh, well, if you do that on top of the fact that the other side has Game Pass, you're just begging people to go to PC or console on Xbox and say, why am I here on PlayStation? What am I getting? Right? If FIFA is in freaking Game Pass, and Call of Duty is in Game Pass, and generally NBA 2K comes into Game Pass, and
Madden's in Game Pass right now.
Right? It's like, okay, hold on. Why do I need to be on your platform when all I do is keep paying every time? So this is going to be an interesting calculus. I think they might do it, but I think it would be to their detriment. I don't think they should. But that's just my thoughts.
No, it's great. And FYI, I pulled up a very interesting stat before I hand the mic over to Keasante. So this was reported 4 days ago. And since the release in 2017 for Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, it has moved lifetime sales 68 million.
Good God.
So
now
they're
you can see
closing
why
in
they're
on
like
70 million. 70 million since launch.
That's crazy.
That's insane.
Mm-hmm.
Here's some more stats for the quarter fiscal year 24 into 2025. They moved 6.23 million copies.
Oh God!
So people love
that
Mario
game's
Kart.
gonna sell, right?
Just
it's
a
gonna
question.
be like 20 million easy, and
That's
like, yep,
crazy.
it worked.
Just a quick question on that.
Sure.
So are you saying that that's the number for Mario Kart 8 Deluxe specifically, not
Yes.
counting Mario Kart 8 its original?
No, this number 68.20 is from 2017's Switch launch to now. Has nothing to do with they sold.
That has nothing to do with the 60. No. Okay, hold on. No. See, they're some of them are conflating it because there are pre-Switch numbers and post-Switch numbers. I would love to know what the pre-Switch numbers are because Wii U also sold a ton of people bought it on Wii U and then bought it on Switch.
Yeah, of course they did.
So there's more numbers.
That's Nintendo.
It's crazy. Anyway.
So you know what? Let's get your thoughts, Keasante, regarding the price increase. Again, this is Hargeet put it perfectly, and so did Dirt, because the one thing that Xbox has over Nintendo and has over PlayStation is the fact that there's Game Pass. And that's why, with console prices going up, and it's unbelievable because you kind of wonder if Microsoft kind of saw and read the tea leaves early, because they're early on a lot of things. But where this makes sense is that this whole Xbox Play Anywhere, right? That's full steam ahead. Now, I'm not going to be playing on my TV, but interestingly enough, every time my nephew Tyler comes over, he grabs the Samsung that controller. It looks like an Xbox, jumps right on the TV. And when he's not playing here, he goes into the room because we have the TV up hanging, and he plays there. He just grabs the controller and goes, and he doesn't care. He doesn't care what he's playing. He's playing Descenders and Crashing.
Where he is, he's playing. Ask him what console he's playing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
that's the conversation I have all the time with people. Absolutely.
So the price going up for PlayStation is it's not really a good look for them. Not so much because the price is going up. No, I'm talking about just the overall broad stroke here. They don't have any of their big first-party games. Ghost of Yotai is going to be big. I cannot wait to play that. I think Marathon is going to launch, and it's going to die on the vine. I think that game is not going to do good. But they're potentially going to raise the console price. Well, let's get your thoughts on what the CFO had to say regarding the console. And if they raise the console, I would imagine they're going to raise peripherals. I would imagine that they could want and possibly raise game prices.
I think that they are in a very unique position. I think that unlike the others, they find themselves in a very unique position. I will speak it into the ether as a wise man on this very, very program once said. I think they're a bit of a pickle, as BoomStick likes to say. Right? They're like, you can see this because as correctly been pointed out, right? And this is, and when I say this, I don't mean this in like rah yay, they did a good thing. I mean, oh boy, we're in for it, right? Because unlike the others who are susceptible to standard market conditions, who have to be very careful because they have to treat you like the special snowflake you are while they're selling you their physical hardware, Xbox doesn't got to do any of that. None of that. They can sit there and twist the dial on it as high as they want and go, you don't like it? Game Pass. And all you'll go is, yes, sir. because it's the best deal available. It just
Yep.
none of the others can like ever do that. They don't have that capability. They don't have an off ramp for you so that they can go, well, market conditions are causing difficulties, but you know what? We did this consumer thing and keeping costs low. Nobody else can do that.
Right.
The only thing that PlayStation could have done, and we were speculating about it on our Discord, that I thought that they should have done, even though that would be kind of squeezing blood from a stone a bit, keep your price the same. If you're smart, keep your console price the same. Why? Because we've seen this exact story play out before in a smaller scale, right? As soon as a game came out that nobody could buy on current gen, that's what moved the holdouts.
Yes.
And what did they do? They bought the cheapest available console in order to play said game that they can't do anything about. Right now, Microsoft has given you such a layup in making the Series S more expensive than the standard PS5. What do? You increase the price of PS5? That is ridiculous and stupid. Because if you keep the price the same, you know definitively that you who want to move consoles more than anybody else will be the only game in town for a GTA 6, right? Let's not get it twisted. People are talking all this smack and all this back and forth. I see what's his name? Ryan McCaffrey talking the way he talks. I met Ryan, great dude. I like Ryan, but it's like 3%, homie. You had a Series X and you went and paid extra money for 3% more bandwidth. 3%.
Yeah.
Okay, enjoy your 3% more bandwidth at $800 whatever dollars extra. Like, that's ridiculous. So the idea that, they have to pay for the best. Yeah, it's the best by a drop in the freaking bucket. Like, just like a teeny tiny. And you're paying $800 extra bucks for it. Good luck.
Yeah.
Everyone else, it's the cheapest barrier of entry that will get them in the door. So if GTA 6 shows up and the what do you call it? The discless, the disc only, the discless PS5 is the cheapest way, it moves units. But if you bring that price up and make the Series S once again the cheapest entry point, you're kind of like cutting your nose to spite your face there. You know what I'm saying? Right? In general, and again, I say all this not to say that, Xbox is doing it right and PlayStation is doing it wrong, because I have said this as well, and I said this a couple of times. We find ourselves in a different position because, yes, full court press, they're throwing games at you. There's no way you can deny it. Game Pass is just hitting on all cylinders. Oh my God, it cannot be denied. Have you found a card that lets you stack 3 months in the last, week or two?
Nope.
Probably not, because they are no longer available. Right? So I suspect what we're seeing here is, come in. The water's fine. Please, enjoy. The water's great. Don't you feel it's nice and balmy? And when we're all here like little frogs enjoying our games, they slowly start going $5 more, $5 more, $5 more, $5 more. That's where we are headed, ladies and gentlemen. You don't believe me? Look at Netflix. Who was on the train on YouTube TV? It used to be like $20. Now it's like $70.
Yeah,
This is the world we live in, ladies and gentlemen. That's what's happening. They're all adapting in their own different ways. Now, what will this mean ultimately? We shall see, man. I'll throw something outlandish out there. You'll know what we're saying is correct when Sony starts taking a bag and putting games on PlayStation on Game Pass.
Yep.
Because at some point they'll need to take a bag to make their games continue to be solidified, right? As
that would be crazy,
right? I mean, like we pseudo saw that happen when what do you call it? Death Stranding came to Game Pass, but there's a side ramp for that, right? There's a side step for that. But as we know, if the people in the room are all financially focused more than taking down the quote unquote enemy, when the money is sitting there, at some point it becomes, well, why aren't we taking that? They're eating off of us.
I want to say this. I want to add something before I get you the mic back. Just because we have Dirk Riggedy, I have to on the panel today, I have to say this. The day that Days Gone and Spider-Man 2018 launches on Game Pass, MFs, because I don't like the curse, are going to be put into witness protection because there is not going to be a freaking.
He's gonna have his hat on.
He is gonna.
It's gonna have like leather. It's gonna have like it's gonna be snake print. He gonna walk with a limp.
Hey,
He's gonna have baby oil in his hand for everybody who needs a slap. I understand.
If that ever happened, I'm calling my supervisor. I gotta go home. I don't feel well. Oh my god!
I can see an emergency podcast happening with
you have vision
everyone with
problems.
TTS.
You can't see yourself going to work the next day. I understand.
We're not saying this happening. We're just joking. Calm down.
We're being silly.
In the chat crying. You know it ain't happening. Calm down. We're just joking. Calm down, buddy.
Take it easy.
No, all we're saying is, at some point, when the back and forth is no longer advantageous and financials are more priority, they will see that money sitting on the table, and it's a very, very interesting place that we find ourselves, right? How will they adapt? Maybe they adapt like PlayStation, like Microsoft adapted, right? For me, the MAU talk, they got a lot of great potentials that they are not tapping into because they want to, I did this on the Discord today, like Disney, the Marvel versus the Disney MCU. They don't want to take the time and work it right. They want to yada 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 and get right to the end, and that's why they always fail. Right. Yeah. But if they change their minds and they go, you know what? We do have these killer IPs. Maybe SOCOM can become something. Maybe Siphon Filter can become something. If they took the time, they could potentially become a contender because their IPs are still God tier, even with that in mind. I just think they're not ready to walk the walk yet. They want quick profit. And for now, that'll put them in a very precarious position. That's what I'm thinking they are right now.